Great, I'd like to call this meeting to order at 9:02 a.m. Heidi, can we please have a roll call?
Yes, Treasurer Diosa.
Here.
Steve Rondo.
Here.
Mark Carrillo will not be here today. Michael Cicerone.
Here.
Joseph Cadiga.
Here.
Matthew Howard.
Here.
Yen Lee is not here yet. Brennan McCabe. Here. William Murray.
Here.
Claire Newell.
Yeah.
Alan Palazzo.
Here.
Sandra Paquette.
Present.
Andrew Nada said he would be absent today, as well as Dr. Shahi's and Michael Tui. And we do have a quorum.
Thank you, Heidi. I will now seek the approval of the draft regular and executive session meeting minutes of 9/17/2025 of the retirement board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Second, any comments or edit? Seeing none, all in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No nays. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to Heidi's director's report.
Yes, I'm just going to introduce our next item, which is an annual disability update to the board by the Disability Committee. In the disability charter, there's a charter for each of the committees of the board. And in the disability charter, it calls for them to report on this, the member application statistics and the physician outcomes for the prior year. And typically we would handle this at the May training session, but this year we had a full agenda that day and we didn't cover it. So we're doing that now. So we're gonna go ahead and go through the disability statistics portion. And there's also a slide deck presentation that's for your information that involves a description of the disability process, the annual compliance, some recent legislation that's happened over the last 2 years that is relevant in this area. And you can go ahead and just read that if you're interested in that, and we'll go ahead and cover that as well as the 2025 cases and legislation at the next training session in May. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Amanda Lucas, who is our disability manager, and she'll be walking us through these slides here. And Gail Mambro Martin, who is our deputy legal counsel and also serves as the treasurer's designee on the disability committee, is available here to answer questions as well. And so I'm going to go ahead and give Amanda control here and convene just a moment, and she will start. Be good, Amanda.
All right, good morning, Amanda. Good morning, Gail.
Good morning. As you may not know, I'm the disability pension manager, so I manage all of disability applications with my staff, making sure that we, get people through the process. And just to run through the slides, which is not, I am presenting. Okay, so we're just gonna go over just briefly the composition of the committee. And then we'll start doing the statistic information. Basically, the statistics we're supposed to be covering based on the instructions in the charter is to report statistics on cases adjudicated and their disposition by the committee, the number and type of physicians engaged for independent medical examinations and their determination statistics, and to provide statistics and data on the disposition of applications. So as you may or may not know, we have 4 board members on the committee. We have Dr. Shaw, Claire Newell is vice chair, Gail Mambro Martin is the designee of the treasurer. We have Andrew Noden and Michael Tui. And then on the other side of this is just the support staff that assist with meetings. We have our board counsel, our medical advisor to the board, and if there's any questions that people might have. Myself, Beck Gomes, who is legal counsel, and then Nicole or Joylyn attend the meeting to take those minutes. Looking at this slide, we don't have a lot of physicians, but I intend to try to engage more. We have about 20 physicians on our roster in 2023 and 20 in 2024. And they compose a variety of specialties, as you can see on the next slide. In looking at this slide, it's a little cryptic because it says total yes, total no. And to explain what that means is that on the form that we give the IME physicians to use for their reports, there are 4 questions that we ask them to answer on one page for accidentals and 2 questions for ordinaries. And those first 2 questions are the same for both, and it's whether the applicant is disabled such that they cannot perform the duties of their current occupation, and whether the disability for accidentals is the result of the reported work accident. For accidentals, we ask if they're at maximum medical improvement, and are they totally disabled from all employment. For ordinaries, we just ask, are they disabled such that they cannot perform their job duties, and are they at maximum medical improvement? And so when we see the yeses and nos, basically the yeses are referencing, yes, they are disabled. Yes, it is a result of the work injury. Yes, they're at maximum medical improvement, or no to any of those. And so that's why you'll see yeses and nos in this.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah,
So this is actually misleading. So if this, if this information were ever asked for,
Mhm.
right, this is a very misleading statement. I think there should be something in here that explains what you just explained to us, because if somebody externally asks for this document and it just says number of times yes, number of times no, my assumption is that they're gonna look at this and say, okay, well, this person said yes,
yes.
they got a pension. And no, they didn't. That's not the case here. It's how many times they said yes and no to each question. I think that needs to be clarified here, because this is a very misleading.
I will make
Situation.
sure I think part of that is we keep track of the data on a spreadsheet, and the easiest way to track what the doctor's opinion is to use yes, no for those 4 questions. And
Even if you just put like a small key at the bottom,
I
just
think
maybe
it's
explaining
a-
something like that.
Yeah, I think,
Very good.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
No,
So basically this information, I think one of the things that used to come up in the past with regard to these 2 slides is, oh, Dr. So-and-so always says yes. Every time he's 100% saying yes. But I think that, one thing we can't do is compare their yeses to their other 3, the other 2 IMEs, responses as well. And usually if one person is saying yes, the other 2 are also saying, yes, this person is disabled. So just keep that in the back of your mind. This isn't in isolation. They're in conjunction with 2 other physicians. And so this is the 2024 statistics. You'll see we have fewer listed physicians. It just happens to be the types of injuries or illnesses that we're confronted with at that time. So with application statistics, we track how many are requested. So there are 101 for 23, 120 were requested in 2024. And we adjudicated 78 applications, which means they went through the committee and to the board, well, through the committee in 2023 and 87 in 2024. With regard to hearings conducted, there were 11 in 23, and just for your information, of the 11 hearings, 5 of the recommendations of the committee that were being contested or appealed were overturned, and 5 were sustained. So half were overturned, and of those, that would have been someone who may have received a denial of an accidental, 50% award when they would have preferred 66 2/3. Or even a denial of an ordinary application. And similarly, in 2024, we had 9 overturned and 3 sustained. And the 9 is a little bit high because we had 4 people who applied with COVID as their disabling condition, and those were all overturned, which is, just added to the numbers.
And can you just explain why 23 and 24 have, 101, 120, but we only had adjudicated so many
Yeah.
applications?
So one of the things that's hard to track too is we send out a number of applications, but we only get a certain number back in any given year. And some people may have requested an application in 2023 and returned it in 2024. The other thing is, that also the adjudication can overlap into a following year, so you're never going to have yearly numbers that are balancing with yearly adjudication. So some people didn't return their applications of the ones that they thought they might need to apply. Okay, and then we have applications by plan. I made notes for myself, so on this one, no, not this one. Okay, application by plan. Okay. I think, looking at this, if anything, the trend for state employees has gone down. Because in the last 2 years, they've been consistently going lower. Other than that, I think everything kind of remains consistent with varying, highs and lows. So I don't think you can see there's any particular trend in this or predictive, information from this slide, aside from the number is more balanced across all plans. This one, okay, these two I find very interesting. Let's see, date of application. Okay, so one of the things that I've mentioned before to you is that back in 2013, we began tracking our data a little bit better, and we also made a concerted effort to try to streamline our process better. So you'll see as we get closer to the current years, we're consistent on average with applications moving along at a pretty steady pace of between 4 and 5 months to get to the point of IME assignment. When you see the yellow line on the bottom, that represents people who apply with terminal illnesses. They're fast tracked, and so they have almost a non-existent waiting period. They get through within 2 to 3 months. And then you'll see the outliers are people who we struggle to get their medical records or, for other reasons, they may not be moving as quickly as other applications.
Like maybe they had surgery.
Oh, yeah, well, that, I think might be the next slide where we do the IME assignment, and you can see on this slide, there's some peaks and valleys. Those high peaks overlap into COVID. We struggled with, trying to make everything flow smoothly, but we actually managed to keep everything on average moving quite consistently. But you'll see, outliers in this one are people who may have had surgery at the time their application was ready for IME assignment. And then there was a delay while we waited for them to be cleared from surgery. Or we have had certain circumstances where someone has had some severe mental illness, and moving them through the process has been a challenge. And then disabling condition. What's missing from this slide is that the first two under, oh no, excuse me. There's another slide. I have some missing information. I think this one is also just fact information. It tells you that most people apply for a physical injury or illness, that it's not necessarily an injury at work. This can be anyone with any kind of physical limitation for their ability to work. Psychological is maintained a low number, and not many people have both a psychological and a physical injury. They sometimes can go hand in hand. So that's just information. Oh, this one does have the data, okay. And I think this one also doesn't really give you much aside from just the numbers of applications in any given year based on the and how what their outcomes were. I don't think you're seeing any particular trends or patterns in who applies or what they're applying for or where they work. Aside from, on the next slide, you'll see, I believe, when we look at the slide by employer, we see that some of the more physical occupations such as those CNAs and nurses who work with patients with PDH, DDH, and people in the school department, Providence in particular, and Department of Corrections are more likely to, be injured at work or apply for a disability retirement. And I think those also are within our largest group of members, so it's not abnormal for those to be higher in general.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to see that maybe in terms of per 1,000 members or something like that, because obviously PTSD is a huge employer, so
Yeah.
it's hard to put that in perspective. And similarly, PHDDH is a relatively large state department.
Okay.
I don't know what the right
Yeah.
right metric
Yeah,
would be
in
exactly, but
proportion,
per 100, per
yeah.
1,000, something like that, that.
Yeah, to get just the sort of overall percentage. Okay, and then the next two slides are based on age at the time of application, and also the next slide will be years of service. And so I think what you see here for most people, and this is not between accidentals and ordinaries, this is just generally, is that the median age for most applicants happens to be in their 50s, which is probably pretty normal for all of us who are over 50, know that, things aren't as easy as they used to be, and things can happen that are unexpected as you get older. And I don't think that our high end is that abnormal, nor is the young age. 38, 39 is, it's not excessively young. So that's that information. And then years of service, the average appears to be around mid-career, I'd say, 22, 23 years. The high end is people with high, levels of service. I think sometimes that can be equated to somebody who might really be trying to work until retirement and they just can't make it due to some health condition or something like that.
Or pension reform.
And then the minimum years is anybody who works on a job and, discovers that they either have an injury, or usually these are the injured people who, shortly after employment, become injured. Okay,
Times it's.
or yes, yeah, it can be, any number of those things. Could cause somebody to go out earlier. And just so you know, when someone has under 10 years of service for an ordinary disability, they'll have rounded up to 10 or 10 years for service credit purposes. And that's the end of the presentation. Does anyone have any questions about this or comments?
So I asked this question a while ago, when Frank was here.
Yeah.
Do we currently have, or could we currently start working on a way to vet the physicians that we send people to?
I don't know.
I mean, I think we need to, we only have 20, there were times when we had 40 or 50, they retire, we're finding it hard to replace them. Some of them pass away, that's another reason we're finding it difficult to replace them. I think we really need to do some sort of campaign to update our list, refresh our list. And I think you had mentioned at least one physician that you had a concern with.
But my thought process behind it is this, right? So if I research a physician to go see on my personal time, right, for my own personal reasons, and I notice a few hiccups or whatever, something about them I don't care for, that's my decision to go see them if I still want to. We're forcing our people to go see these physicians, and I'd like to know that they're all 100% where they should be, if we're forcing our members to go see them. And I think that's something important that we should look into in the future.
I mean, it just occurs to me that there may be a process where we could engage someone to do this work for us that sort of similar to like a hiring process that would, if that exists.
Or maybe we could do an RFP.
That's what I'm thinking, like an RFP.
With the requirements, so maybe that's a good a good way to get
What?
to.
Matt, I know this probably doesn't allay all your concerns, but what I've recognized sitting in on a lot of these meetings, and Claire, you're on the committee, you can probably speak to this as well, is that the committee members have a good idea of the doctors because they see so many of the reports. So they know if a certain doctor is scrutinizes applications harder than others, and I think that factors into when they read the reports. Claire, you
Yes,
can,
absolutely.
It's funny you say that because one of the doctors that they routinely use the most in their decision-making process and by their own words in a lot of their reporting. You know, we weighed heavily on this doctor's decision, has had his medical license suspended in the past.
Really?
So my question is, are we really looking at these people and saying, okay, are these people we should be sending our members to?
Yeah.
Let me dive deep into that. We should discuss that at the next board meeting, but that is a real thing. Yeah, we have to address.
It's on the Department of Health website,
Yeah. So
so.
let's tackle that.
Thank you.
Gail, if you want, Gail and Amanda, if you wanna come up with some ideas of how to
Yeah.
refresh the list.
I'll do some research.
Yeah, please.
Kind of resources maybe out there to assist us in
Or,
finding.
a third party that does a good vetting, presents to the board.
I have a question. What about the pay scales that we pay these positions as we see them getting?
Yeah, we've increased it.
Oh, we have,
It used to be $300.
Yeah, I think it's
But-
kind of,
By specialty, we'll pay more
Yeah.
if needed.
and you know, over time, it's increased just by the nature of it. But we did have one physician, you know, for example, we did find a psychiatrist we wanted to use. But his fees were way out of, like, I don't know what he was thinking when he billed us.
Charged
but-
us like $7,000 for IME.
And so, you know, we have to kind of keep things within reason, but we do basically, kind of. We don't dictate to the physicians how much we will pay them.
Right.
We pay them what they, you know, submit as their invoice, and if reasonable, then it's, you know, it's acceptable. Yeah, I don't think there's any one aside from that one physician.
well, I was just thinking maybe we get more positions of the various.
I don't know, so I don't know whether it's something not on their radar, that this is something they can do, or if it's something that they're too busy in the way that we do medicine these days. It's too bad Dr. Shaw Hughes isn't here to be
Yeah.
able to sort of maybe give some
Yeah.
insight. Because I kind of feel like. Yeah, I don't really know what the reasons are for them.
I just know that they do a lot of work and some of their reports are like thousands of pages and that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
For anyone
maybe
that already has another job.
Yeah,
So we'll add that as part of the whole evaluation of this. Matt, anything else? No?
Thank you.
You know, there are two things that, and you mentioned them about the doctors. I know another board that I'm on, we're dealing with the loss of doctors constantly. It's a crisis. There's no way of getting around it. The other interesting part of it is that a lot of these doctors are complaining about not getting, and I should say, I'm on the Blue Cross Blue Shield Board of Directors, and it's payment. So, I think that if you go out with and I don't even know how you do it now. I think if you go out with a good PR about payment. It would be a suggestion I would make because it makes sense, but make them aware of it.
Yeah.
Cause I know my own personal doctors complain about not making them up, you know,
yeah.
we're working, we're working, we're not making enough money, and I would think that would be. You know, if they know that this is available, especially the younger doctors, they might jump at it.
And
We
I
want
would
to
say,
explain our payment.
well, the payment is pretty quick, so once we receive an IME report, it's goes to Lizette for review to ensure that the responses are answering the required statements. And then she okays the payment and it's paid usually within the week or two after that, it's sent to accounting to be paid. And so we've always tried to emphasize that we pay within, you know, we usually used to say within 2 weeks of receipt of the invoice. At one point Frank was like, tell them 30 days, you know.
Reasonable though.
But the other thing, we did have an intern, and I kind of didn't remember this, we did have an intern one time kind of provide, and, you know, a range of how much do we pay our people depending on what their specialty is? And we could maybe,
Visit that.
you know, share that information with prospective, you know, physicians. when
Well, that's what I'm
we
saying.
contact them.
If they
Yeah,
don't know about it, you're not gonna
yeah,
get anybody.
yeah,
But if you do some type of a marketing or PR to the doctors, I just know from. You know, what we're hearing left and right about they're not getting paid enough, they're looking, and again, I say the younger doctors, the older doctors now are burnt out.
mhm,
And I'm not sure how many will attract, but I think the younger doctors who are looking for this money.
Yeah.
Could be very valuable if, you know, if they're aware of it.
yeah.
And so it's just a suggestion.
And one of the things I had thought of at a time was when I'm thinking about trying to look for new doctors, I search, you know, I put in independent medical examiner, search in my Google search or whatever. And what it might be smart to do, and this is something that we'll propose, is maybe we have a page on our website. So when you search IME,
Mm.
ours pops up, and then it's, you know, a bit of a, hey, you know, did you ever think about doing this? And with more information, you know, for them to maybe sign up, or whatever.
Anything can help
Yeah, exactly.
is really what.
Wow. Amanda, Gail, thank you so much for that presentation.
Thanks.
All right, we are now moving on to the next agenda item. I know that one of our board members wanted to request a discussion. So, Cindy,
Yes, and also action as well as discussion. I think we amended that.
so
Um,
please, please.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, so the agenda only lists discussion.
but it includes the resolution.
Yes,
For discussion. Okay, got it. The first thing I wanted to say is that, I know I am speaking, I'm the one who initially is going to speak, and then Aldo will also. But it's not my agenda item, far from it, it's Aldo's. We have 3 consultants that we work with constantly, who are sitting here today. Educational, financial, and legal. And we were elected to represent retirees, so we do represent, I don't know how many there are at this point in time.
Mhm.
But however many there are, we represent them, and they are talking to us and they are telling us of their needs. The other thing, I think I'll stand. What I'm about to say and why I want to stand is because it is so critical. It's not only critical to the retirees, to the current active workers who at some point in time will be retired. It's critical to our state, our cities, and our schools. At this moment in time, we are reaching crisis levels as far as finding qualified applicants for the positions that become available. There is definitely a scarcity, and so much of it has to do with the whole issue of pension reform. This has been 14 years in coming. We've seen our fund grow now. The latest figure I saw was 11 billion as of June 30th. I don't know if there is a more current update on that. So we've seen it grow, and obviously our investments are growing, our returns are growing. But at the same time, we have seen the quality of life for our members, those that we represent. We have a pension board. We've seen that just disintegrate. I get letters from people who are in a panic in the winter because they cannot afford to pay their heating bills. Or people who have had to sell their home because they could no longer afford the payments and a car payment, etc. It's just so wrong. And the other thing, Aldo, do you have what makes it even more wrong, and a picture is worth 1,000 words. We have buried 15,000 people, human beings, workers, who were alive in 2011 and who had the rug pulled out from under them, so that they died without most of them having received any kind of compensation, and we're trying to live on a 2011 income. So our issue is the issue of pension reform. And we can't undo 2011, but we do have to redo 2011. And again, anyone who questions if it's this fiduciary responsibility, it clearly states in our guidelines that we have to act solely in the interest of retirement system members, 60,000 people. And I know in the past, Aldo and I have tried to bring this up, and we were told, oh no, that's not something that we deal with. But I think that was probably far more past practice than it was as far as our actual duties and responsibilities. And again, by not considering it, we are not performing our fiduciary responsibility to the people that we're here for. Well, Aldo and I and our consultants decided we had to find a way to overcome the obstacles. So before we came to you, we did tons of background work. And we went to see the leaders of both the House of Representatives and the State Senate. We've consulted often with Treasurer Diosa and his staff. And it has been agreed upon that the board has not only the authority, but the responsibility to present to the legislature our indication that we want the change. We want, I shouldn't say the change, I'm sorry, reform. Because it's not a change. We have to go back to where we were before, and I would call it a debacle, because it was actually a debacle. And again, what they said to us is that we have to approach the board. They need something from the board before they can take any action. And we know that they are the ones who take the ultimate action. So we have to, and we've come up with a resolution that hopefully the board will agree upon. Again, what it does is it indicates to our legislative leaders that we are willing to redo. The actual process, and again, we wouldn't come here unless we had some sort of a solution. It's so basic, and I'm gonna let Aldo take it from here.
Okay, you've heard me before. Thanks to the general treasurer, I was fortunate to attend the conference with retirement types from all over the country. I gained a lot of insight, a lot of information, and I think one of the biggest takeaways from that conference, people were looking at returning the promise of a secure retirement. Another issue or item that was presented to me is too often groups like this look for reasons to fail, okay? A reason not to do something. And I think you know me by now, I am not going to accept any no simply because that's the easy solution or that's the way we've always done it. I think we need to think outside of the box. We have people who have looked at our system and come to the conclusion that yes, we can move forward. Okay, you've all heard me talk about the infamous Holman colon graph. That's my name for it. However, up at the State House, everywhere people refer to it as the Holman colon graph. And I think you need to look at the realities of that, okay? ERSRI 2011 was the end game pension solvency or pension elimination. 2035, you look at state contributions, and it goes off the home and column graph. It drops down. And the answer is there. Why? People like me, I don't intend to, well, I would hope to be here. But many of us, especially the pre-2012 retirees, will not be here. And this graph or this photo shows what has happened. How many Rhode Island retirees have passed on without ever having received a COLA? And as you know, it's been brought up at these meetings, 22 school districts don't have Social Security. So you had people that were here, passed on and never received a COLA, or what we call a COLA, including Sandra's husband. Okay, I don't accept that. It's not something that's we should allow. Coming back from the conference yesterday at the gate and in Denver waiting to return to Providence, you know me, I'm not shy. I approached a sample of Rhode Islanders, and I had the draft of that picture on my phone. I spoke to them about it. It struck them, you know. I also talked about solutions to the problem, not costing Rhode Island taxpayers additional funds using the pension fund itself. The response was overwhelmingly positive. I'm sure, you know, the techies could do a poll, do a survey, and you'd probably get the same response if the questions are posed in the proper manner. But I continue. You know, looking at the home and colon graph, you're using pre-2012 data. Oh. Essentially, we're looking at the virtual elimination of employee contributions. And although Sandra and I represent retired teachers, we view it as not only retired teachers, but all retirees, as well as active members of our system. Whereas Sandra calls them future retirees. They are going to be affected. I've had discussions with Mike in separate venues. His people are concerned about using the pension fund. They're going to have something. Are they going to have something? I get a lot of complaints from my friends who are actives regarding the alternatives that, or should I say, the venue that they're forced to use to fund their retirement. I had the same thing talking to people nationwide. One of the person I talked to was the director of pensions for the California state retirement system. We had long discussions due to our mutual affection for Italy, but we went on and on and on. I entered that building on Saturday and didn't leave until I got on the tracks to head to the airport yesterday morning. There was so much information and things that we can use. I came away with a new vision, ideas that I will share at other meetings, but things need to change. We cannot accept reasons to fail. I'm always a believer, I'm a destroyer sailor, doing the best I can with what I have available. And nothing stops me, okay? You tell me no, I'll say why, and come up with a solution. And I think the general treasurer and his staff know that, as well as the members up at the State House. We need to find a solution. With regard to the value of the pension fund, Sandra pointed out something, the actual date is 31 July. That's 2 months ago. Based on the performance of the market and looking at it, I say we're much higher. Talking to other retirement systems throughout the country, I believe Alaska is 94% funded, but many of them are funded, some are below, but they're still covering things. One of the gentlemen was from Chicago. I talked to people from New York. We need to move forward. We need to set policy at this board. Simply because it was done in the past doesn't mean it's the way we should do it. My experience in the Navy, why do we do this? Oh, that's the way we've always done it. No, not anymore. I have things I'll be talking to you about later on governments, how we should do it. And trust me, I pledge myself to everybody here and our active and retired members. I will do everything in my power, so help me God, to make RISA 2011 go away, be reformed, and it's in our power at a distance of 15 years, looking at the current fiscal realities, the economic realities, to come up with RISA 2026. I looked at this as a long-term project. We're now in almost 26, FY 26. Now is the time to do it. We've been working with the Speaker of the House, Senator Chacon. The General Treasurer has been outstanding in offering his staff and his time to us. The Chief Investment Officer of the state is working with us, and we can make it happen. I will not accept, and you'll hear from me over and over again, discuss how we can do it. Now, there's a term that we use in the Navy, and you'll see me hopefully shortly have a little pin made. The term is Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. I think you all know the reality of the colloquial meaning of that term. I found a new one for that during one of my discussions. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, where is the fiduciary? Same sign line, we are the fiduciary. We are the people, and Sandra's been driving this for a long time. I wish Mr. Carullo was here today to hear it. We are the fiduciaries, okay? And we've been told we have a fiduciary responsibility to the pension fund and the pension system. And at one of our training sessions, and here in this room, I asked Mr. Karpinski, it's not just the fund, aren't the members also part of the system? His answer was absolutely. The pension fund doesn't exist by itself. It exists for the members, and it will not do the remaining members pre-2012 any good if they're dead. Look how many people, and that's just not a sample, but a representation of how many we lost. When you think about how many thousands of Rhode Islanders who did everything that was asked of them and were denied retirement security for expediency. I won't say political expediency, but expedience because it was the easy thing to do. Now is the time to go forward, and hopefully, we're running behind time, but this board will start changing policy. Because as we've been told by the legislative leaders, that is our responsibility, that is our job, that is your job. And we need to stand up for all these people. I'm here because I'm not afraid of anything, okay? I'm here because I want to speak for the people who are afraid to speak, who don't know how to speak, and something needs to be done. Those people can no longer voice their opinions. I'm here to speak for them. So I just wanted to leave that with you. The pension trust fund is the solution. It's not the problem. One of our meetings, the chief investment officer made, I talked about my growth. And he said, well, you can absorb risk. Our pension fund right now you can absorb 13 years worth of risk. You can pay out 13 years worth of benefits without putting another dime into the system. Okay, the market goes up and down. Yeah, it will be, we have to look at that. But don't look for obstacles, for reasons to say no. Just make it happen to honor those people and the people that are still here and the future retirees that are out there. So
Al, I'm
The
gonna,
resolution,
the resolution itself is very.
they have a copy.
Does everybody have it? You've got a copy in front of it. That's important. And although we had asked for discussion action, that's not here. I would urge that at the next board meeting in November, that this resolution be adopted and action taken. Right now, or in progress, is the revenue conference, okay? The governor's gonna be submitting his budget articles. We have assurances from the Speaker of the House that he will push some of our goals if we can get them incorporated as budget articles. And oh, by the way, we're not looking for money in that budget, just as he did with Article 12 last year, the assault weapons ban. That had nothing to do with the budget, but it was included in the budget. We feel that we need to get something done into the budget via the governor, and I understand the general treasurer is quite close to him to get it done and make it happen. So we have talked to many people. I have people that throw darts at us sometime about political opinions. I'm hardcore. I have a thick skin, and the only thing will stop me is if I'm no longer here. So
any
I
questions
ask your indulgence.
for Al in this discussion? I see that. All right. Yeah,
Oh, good question. I just want to comment, I appreciate Sandra and you both doing this work. And I think it's very important for the board. I appreciate you recognize our fiduciary duty is for the fund. However, the connection to the fund serve the retirement members. So that's very important for all of us, bear in mind. I fully support this action.
good. All right, thank you for the presentation.
It's my pleasure.
All right.
Speaking for them.
Excuse me, Treasurer, do we have to take a vote as to whether or not the resolution will be voted upon next time?
No,
or no?
there's no
Action.
action.
Keep no action
Oh,
today,
I
but
see, so we cannot take that.
I
vote.
would make a motion that the resolution be included in the November agenda. Discussion action.
Whoa.
So we're not gonna take any action because it wasn't advertised as such. If the request from Sandra had included discussion and action on proposed resolution, then it would have been included. That-
Excuse me.
Okay,
That
that
is.
No, so it didn't happen before the agenda was set, Sandra. Okay?
oh, it did, excuse me.
Okay.
If I digress, after,
So
after,
the
excuse
agenda's
me,
not
after
yet.
the
So-
last
so-
meeting, I personally handed this resolution
I
to the
think.
general
So
treasurer.
the best course of being the chair of the board was just to have discussion, everyone be aware, and then we'll bring it to the next. Right, so we'll,
For discussion action. Thank you, sir.
so, any questions? No questions?
I'm wide open.
Okay,
I'm not shy.
we will now move to the approval of the September 2025 pensions as presented by ERSRI. Second, all in favor, vote aye. Nays, so moved. Patrick, is there any update?
No, something to update, you have the reports, but other than that. Any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions for Patrick? Questions? Thank you. Claire, Disability Committee.
Okay, Disability Committee met on October 3rd. We recommend the following, passage of the following 1 through 12.
I'd like to pull 10 out for discussion.
All right, we're gonna hold off 10. Claire,
So,
Rephrase that again.
okay, I recommend passage of 1 through 9 and 11.
I got a motion of approval
And 12.
and 12.
11.
Oh, 12.
Oh, I'm sorry,
12.
12, yeah, 12. Motion on those items except number 10.
So.
So move second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It moves. Number 10.
I'd just like some clarification here. I read the decision. And I'm having trouble pinpointing the exact reason for the denial. Anybody can expound on that. I know the committee's not here, but
Yeah, most of the committee was not here.
are you saying that sick sinus and tachybrady syndrome are not heart related, or are you saying that somebody with a pacemaker should return to being a firefighter?
Well, that was discussed with the medical people, and they felt that there wasn't enough there to give the pension to them. There was lacking information, and I think this is the one that there was other condition about timeliness. Those
So there's a note here that says that says statement that indicates that Ainsley served as a rescue captain firefighter and he stopped working July 3rd of 2020. He didn't separate service, he's on occupational injury leave. So the way this reads is that the way I took it is that the committee's under the assumption that he's already retired and trying to convert this versus going for an active disability pension. Is that correct or am I wrong?
I took it that it was more of the medical documentation than anything else.
That didn't answer my question.
You asked me if that was the reason.
No, are you under the impression that he was retired? Or were you under the impression that he was still actively working?
I think we were under the impression that he was retired.
Well, that's factually not true. He is on occupational injury leave.
I don't really have my notes. Usually I have my notes with me,
So we don't.
and I don't have anybody else on the committee.
Can table?
We can.
Matt, do you wanna table it?
I would appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's unfair, she doesn't have her notes. So, a motion to table item number 10.
I make a motion to table item number 10 for further discussion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
So, great. Any others, Claire?
Yeah, I don't know.
Good. All right, we'll move on to Administration Audit Risk and Compliance Committee. I'll call on our Chair, G. Rondo, for the report.
Thank you, Treasurer. The Administration Audit Risk and Compliance Committee met on October 1st to consider the reinstatement of contribution rates for state police plan for fiscal years 26 and 27 and recommendation to the full board. As a result of the final average salary calculation change in the enacted budget bill, the employer recommended contribution rate increase is 0.7% for both fiscal years 26 and 27. A summary of the legislation and the rate recertification letter provided by the actuary Gabriel Wilder Smith was discussed by the committee.
Any questions for Gene? No? Can we get a motion to? Oh, please, sorry, take your job. Go ahead.
All right, the committee recommends certification of the restated contribution rates for the state police plan for fiscal years 26 and 27 as a result of the enactment of House Bill number 5076 sub A as amended, Article 3 as amended. I will make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays, so moved.
I second.
Gene, back to you on governance.
Just a report here, no vote was necessary. The governance committee met on September 30th to approve the employment terms of Andrew Roos for the position of executive director. Following discussion in executive session, the committee went in open session and voted to approve the employment terms for Andrew Roos for the position of ERSRI executive director at a grade of 8550 and starting salary of $183,392 with a start date of October 20th, 2025. That is my report.
Any questions for Gene? No, all right. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
So.
Move, second.
Okay.
All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Getting adjourned. Thank you.
Matt, that was on September 5th, we had that meeting.